have everything right yet? Do you live right yet? Do you walk right yet? But God is at work. And that's what I love about God. That's why I love God. That's why we preach in prison cells. That's why we go to the jail. People say to me, Reverend, I don't understand how you go to the jail. Other pastors don't go to the jail. But what I know about the jail is that God does his best work when we're locked up. God is at work. God works in the womb. God is at work. God works on your life. We don't have sense enough to understand God or his work. We don't have sense enough to understand all this holy talk and all of this talk. But God is at work. If God can work on me to get my mother off of drugs, if God can work on me to get my welfare check here on time, if God can work to keep them from kicking me out of my apartment next week, if God can, God works in your life. God is real, I tell you. He's real. He works in the womb. God does, and I'm going to say it again, God does not need our permission to work in our life. God is at work. But Jesus says that you must be born again. Now, being born again is a dangerous work. There's danger in being born. We just had a celebration yesterday for Rachel and Bethany, and they're here this morning. Give God the praise. Bethany graduated from Miami Valley High School, and Rachel graduated from Spelman College, and I'm so proud of them. Come on, give God the praise again. Praise God. And as I began to think about them graduating, and we've just gone through a process where all three of them went to Miami Valley High School, and I paid tuition to get them through school and all of that. And I just finished with Bethany, but I thought about the first one. I thought about Joshua. I thought about how when I was in the delivery room with his mother, it don't seem that long ago. I'm telling you, I used to hear old folk talk about that. You know what I'm saying? You understand me, Judge? I used to hear people talk about that kind of thing, but I know what they're saying now. It don't seem that long ago. I was in the delivery room with Joshua's mother, and she was trying to push him out. And as she pushed, then his distress signals went up. And the heart monitor would go down. So his heart was stopping every time she pushed. And then they figured out that Joshua, being the rambunctious Negro that he is, had wrapped himself around in the womb and just wrapped his, and the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. And every time Vanessa would push, Joshua would choke. And so then they had to do an emergency C-section. I'm standing right there, and I'm watching them as they put the sedative in my wife, and she's knocked out. And then they cut her womb open, and then they lift Joshua out. And as Joshua was born, and everybody was excited. I was excited to have my little boy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all excuse us for a second. Can all the brothers stand up for just a second? Just a second. All the brothers stand up for just a second. Just all the brothers in the house, stand up for just a second. All right, y'all can sit down. Yes, but as I had my little boy, that I was so happy, and but my wife, she was still laying down. She was still under the sedative. They had cut her womb open. And I saw my wife, and y'all forgive me, but, I saw my wife look like a side of beef Well, I'm telling you the truth. That's what we all look like. That's what we all look like. Underneath and I saw them take my son out, and I was so proud of my son. But my wife was there. She was still under a sedative, and they were sewing her wound back up. And so they wanted me to go over and rejoice with them about the birth of my son. But I was still concerned about my wife. My wife had just given birth, and so I didn't know whether to rejoice at the birth of the son or to minister to my wife. But she was comatose right then. And so but what I'm trying to say is birth is a dangerous thing. Now, let me tell you something, that when you're born again with Jesus, that there are some relationships that you've got to cut off. There's some people that you've got to cut off. That may be your mama or your daddy. It may be your closest relative, but you've got to cut off. You've got to change your walk. You've been walking this way. You got to turn around and walk the other way. You've got to be born again. But I want to tell you, ain't nobody told you. Trust me, you heard it right here. Birth is a dangerous thing. And look, if you've been born again and ain't nothing dangerous happened, check with God to see if it's real. Because I guarantee you, you're going to mess somebody up. The devil has been stacking up his portfolio in your life. And when you're born again, you explode it all. And God starts a new reality in your life. I'm talking about being born again. I'm talking about starting all over. I'm talking about God doing a new thing in my life. I wish I had somebody. Somebody needs a new walk. Somebody needs a new talk. Somebody needs a new family. We'll be your family. We'll love and protect you. We'll pray for you. We'll shelter you. Somebody needs a new family. People been talking about you. People have done you wrong. But I guarantee if you're born again, I said born. I said it like the color folks say. I said born again. I love God. I said I love God. And God has changed my life. I'm talking about being born again. But sit down for a second. Sit down for a second. I want you to understand that when you're born again, that you have a new walk and a new talk, but having a new walk isn't easy. Can you show that video? Can you? I just want you to see the birth of a giraffe. The birth of a giraffe is a difficult thing. And as the giraffe, he's trying to stand, trying to make those legs work. He's trying to walk. He's trying to be mobile. Now, I want you to understand that after he gets it together, he's using the same muscles as he did when he started. But those muscles had to learn how to walk anew. Is it going to work? I just want you to know that this giraffe, he stumbles and he stamps, and that's the way a lot of us are doing. That's the way a lot, look at it, That's the way a lot of us are doing in our spiritual walk. Look at it. He tried to, and see, you can't be so hard on each other. Look at it.